In this video, we're going to go over the post shooting of my custom reload for the 8x56 Kropatschek. The details, I'm not going to go into the details, but this is a pretty heavy cast bullet. I did videos on the bullet mold, and if you remember, you've seen where I developed this load. It works well. I had excellent results at 50 yards. Okay. But as we all know, with any of these older guns, it's pretty difficult to get an exact weight copy of the bullet that was used with this gun to reload it to where it fires the same trajectory in that to match up with the sights. The reason I'm making this video is I'm going to explain to you how I figured out, how I came about experimenting to get a sight picture and to use the sights on the rifle, okay, to hit something at 100 yards. And the reason for that is this ammunition, no matter what it is or how you made it, okay, it's custom loaded ammo. And it's very expensive, okay? It's like $4 or $5 every time you yank on the trigger. So when you're shooting and you're totally missing and not knowing where the rounds are impacting, okay, because of the backstop or whatever, it's pretty frustrating and it's pretty expensive. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at the gun. I'll show you the target. I got the target here. And I'm going to explain to you, looking at the sights, how I got this to work. Now, say you're not using this bullet, using something else. Use the same methodology, and you can, no matter what bullet you put in there, lighter, smaller, whatever, use the same thing, and you could go about saving yourself some time and frustration. Alright, so what we're going to do now, we'll look at the rifle and the sights up close, and I'll explain to you how we started all of this. Okay, for those of you that are not very familiar with this rifle and its sights, first thing that is important and you have to bear in mind is that this rifle is very much like the French Gras, okay? And it's also very similar to the German 71, 7184, the Gras, and several other rifles that work in this way. Okay, what it is, it's called a split bridge, and there are no locking lugs on this bolt. The only lockup you have is when this section of the bolt handle, or the bolt body with the handle, locks against this section of the receiver. That is the only lockup that is holding your bolt. Why is this important? Because it causes something called barrel whip. And if you're familiar with it, you will notice that on these rifles the sights are a little off. Because during recoil, all the pressure hits this one point and kind of warps the gun. And the long barrels have a tendency to whip. So you'll notice, like on the Gras and that, the sights will be a little bit off. So that's something important to know. Now we'll get in and take a very closer look at this sight, and I'll explain to you about that. Now this sight is very similar to the French Gras, not an exact copy. You have your standard battle sight, which I guess should be 300 meters or something. I'm not quite sure, maybe more, not exactly. And then when you flip this up over this way, there is your close range notch right here, and that's what you would use at a very close range to shoot this rifle. Again, exactly like the French Gras, Chassepots, and everything else. I believe this was a copy of one of the later French rifles, are very similar in design. Alright, so now when I fired this at 50 yards, the sight was just like this, using this battle sight, and point of aim. this is what kind of surprised me. When I fired this at 50 yards point of aim, and if you go and you remember and you can see the low development targets, you'll see that this was right on. Okay, so I said, great. How is this going to translate when I go to 100 yards? Well, what happened, I'll show you the target next. Alright, so I figured, hey, 50 yards, we're doing good, double the distance, maybe it'll shoot a little low. So, I started shooting and I had no idea, okay? And so what I did is fooling around with the sights. I said, alright, I'm probably shooting low. I didn't hear it hitting the backstop. I should have come with a longer piece of cardboard to stretch over the short backstop, but I didn't. And if you're subscribed to my channel, you'll see that I fired this bullet in another rifle, Austrian M95, and I had to raise the sights up at 50 yards. So I said, okay, maybe I have to go and bring up the sights. So I was shooting low. I stood the sights up, run it up some, and I believe I was shooting high. And so, just by chance, okay, and I will show you on the rifle, I ended up setting the sights back down to start, shooting one round at a time, and the first one I got was down here low. So I realized, I said, hey, okay, I got an idea where I am. Okay, and what it was also was I was aiming. I knew I was shooting high, so I was aiming lower below the paper and hit it here. And I said, okay, got an idea where to set the sights. I knew I was going to shoot towards the right, and I believe that's part of the barrel whip. Okay, no matter what. Most of these guns have a weird habit of shooting one way to the right. So I come and I kind of put it point of aim like here, and I believe that's where I got my target, my hit here. It might have been here, that's right, because it's going to the right. So I just said, all right, let me see if I can get on the paper. Bang. All right. Now that I knew from here to here, which is 1, 2, 3, about 8 inches high, but I couldn't go from the main adjustment to the adjustment I had. So what I had to do is come over, line that sight up, and basically the edge of this shoot about here. Okay, and changing the sight picture and settling in, shooting about right here, got me all of these hits right here. And then some did drop down lower when I was rapid firing. I could have shifted or just drifted myself. But in general, aiming at this point got me this group. Okay. And I was quite satisfied with that. I could repeat hitting the groups, in the, what is that, about 3 inches, 3 to 4 inches with those old iron sights. So that's pretty good. Now we'll go back to the rifle and I'll show you what I've done. Okay, so this was the configuration at 50 yards, which got me there. Okay, using this would be even lower, so we didn't use it. So then looking here, I didn't see the numbers until I looked on the back, much like the Gra. So I said, you know what, maybe I think I lifted it up about that far to 7 or something, stood it up and was using that at 7. That's where I was going, over the backstop. Okay, so I said, let me do this, just process of elimination. Now if you look at the slider, I think there's a number 1 on there, and the way this is cut, okay, that's your notch. You go all the way down, it's undercut behind it. So I said, let's do this. let's slide this sucker all the way back. Start at the bottom, okay? Because realistically, from here to where it's on the bottom here, like this, that's the next highest. Without getting too crazy, I went too high with it. So what I did is I started making those shots, and point of aim was about 6 inches high. Okay, and I just knew where it was, and that's how I used it. And if you look in the video, that's how I fired the rifle, is with that set just standing up. So what you would do is just take the rifle with the slider all the way down. Okay, 50 yards, you're right on the money. You go to 100, just stand the sight up, use that notch in there, and you're shooting a tad bit high at 100. But see, I didn't have the time to go to 200 and see what the difference would be. Now, if you had a good backstop, you know, where you got 4 foot from the center of mass, you know you're shooting a little to the right. So what you would do is kind of aim to the left, shoot at your point of aim, you know, off little Kentucky windage. And if you had a long cardboard, you'd see how far down you were, and you could probably slide this up at 200 yards and, you know, get to where once you know where the bullet's impacting, it's just a matter of adjusting your sight picture and a point of aim, and you can hit with these. But that's exactly how I did it. Now that's with this bullet. If you use a different bullet, a different load, you may get different results. But that's the basic technique of figuring out where this gun is shooting with your ammo. Well, like I said, I hope you watch this video, and you know, just the technique. Like I said, it doesn't matter what bullet you're using, whatever, but it's the technique of experimenting a little at a time, making sure you got an ample backstop, because a lot of people do show me where they shoot these guns at 25 yards or even closer, because you don't know where they're shooting, and you have to remember the trajectory on this stuff is like a rainbow. So that's why it'll shoot high, close up, but yet if you go to 100 yards, you're shooting low, okay? You have to kind of gauge that. And that's how you can use the sights and actually get out, shoot these guns, hit some sort of a target, and enjoy a nice afternoon out with your rifle, enjoying these old surplus guns. And like I said, the ammo is extremely expensive. So, you know, learning a technique to help speed up the process of knowing where you're hitting can save you a lot of time, money, and frustration. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned. We're going to try to get more stuff coming up along these lines with these older mil surplus guns that are a little bit more unusual and harder to get ammo for. Alright, thank you.